Good morning from sunny Liverpool, and it is sunny. It is a good day in the city, which is why I wanted to record this one outside while I'm on my way to go and get coffee. It's the morning after the night before where we beat Real Madrid, ended what felt like a bit of a curse in Liverpool, especially in recent years, and vanquished some of those demons, possibly even arrived on the scene in some people's minds. Certainly in my mind, I think Liverpool proved that there is something there beyond what we've already proved. But I will caveat all of that by saying that beating a big name such as Real Madrid is very important. But they did have a few injuries, and they did have a couple of people who looked a little off it last night. And for that reason, I'm still going to be cautiously optimistic. But beating big names, beating Ancelotti, ending the Klopp issue that we had with Real Madrid, and giving ourselves like some sort of emotional distance from what happened before is really important. That's all of that frames. I thought we were great last night, and again we trampled a team in Europe who just could not deal with us, because other European leagues don't press in the same way. Other European leagues can't deal with Liverpool's intensity. They can't deal with the way that Liverpool hurry them. Early on it sort of starts off and they're like, oh, we'll deal with this. Like, don't worry about that, mate. We'll be all right. Not for 90 minutes, you won't. You cannot deal with us over an extended period. And we slowly wear teams down. We slowly wear away at their confidence. We slowly wear away at the system. We work out what they are doing to solve us, which Slot is amazing at. And we put those solutions on our side to work. And that is what is getting us over the line so often at the moment in so many games. It's not about outlasting the other team. It's about outthinking and outdoing them in what look like very subtle ways, which is why the wins don't feel as emphatic, I think, as in the Klopp era, when the idea was just a much more simple one from at least the outside perspective. So I hope that makes sense, because I don't want to say something. Actually, I don't care. Like, if you don't disagree, go in the comments. Anyway, Anfield wasn't quite rocking last night. I'm going to go this way, actually. Anfield wasn't quite rocking last night. Like, it wasn't. I think there was one of two different perspectives. It was either that we were slightly apprehensive because we were playing an old foe and someone who, we've got good history with, but we have terrible recent history with in Europe. Or it's because we were like, go on then, go and beat them. And I think a lot of people were somewhere in between and didn't really know where they sat. And so when I got there, I was a bit like, You Never Walk Alone was good, but it wasn't like, the emphatic. We felt apprehensive. We felt a little bit nervous. That's what I will say, right? And I'm fine with that. Like, that's part of this era. That's part of us building a new confidence and building away from that previous Klopp era. That's fine. But at the same time, wow, look at that. There it is. Anyway, we're building away from that. Now on to the details, the individuals, the brilliance on the night. Defensively, I think what we did was really impressive because they had a majority of their front line. If Vinicius had been there, I don't know how different the night is, if I'm honest, because I know that pace is a thing, but they never really seem to use it against us, and they never really seem to want to activate it. Maybe that's because Konate and Van Dijk look so dominating at the back. They look so domineering. They look so impressive. Or maybe it's also just because they couldn't work out where to go against us. If you put yourselves up against Konate and Van Dijk, what would your solve be? Is your solve that you're going over them because you can't? Is your solve you're going around them because it's very difficult? Your solve is really to attack Andy Robertson and Conor Bradley, and broadly they did that night. It sort of worked against. Well, it didn't really work against Conor, but I do think he faced Mbappe up really, really well. And frankly, I'll be honest now, if that was Trent last night, we'd be absolutely screaming about the brilliant performance that he put in, the tackles, that recovery tackle he put in was just something else last night, wasn't it? And I think more of us would be kind of oh yeah, this guy has arrived sort of thing. We did it against City in the Champions League multiple times with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and for some weird reason we're resistant to do it for Conor Bradley. I think out of a reverence to Trent Alexander-Arnold, but also because we know that, you know, he's not the first team, he's not the starter every week, and therefore I don't think he gets judged in the same way, which I actually think is slightly unfair. The kid was class last night, and he almost scored us a goal. He set up quite a few different things. The header that he almost scored, I thought was Darwin Nunez when he got up. I was like, Darwin, how did you miss that? You're a striker. He was great, and I think he locked them down relatively well. Andy Robertson, I think, is actually improving week on week for Liverpool right now. I actually really like a lot of his performances, and I think at the moment he's underestimated in terms of what he's offering to the team. And I'll say it purely because I think he was injured, started the season quite slowly. Again, we're resistant to give him too much credit until he's had like Andy Robertson-esque performances for like 20 different performances. I thought he was amazing last night. I thought he was really, really good. Gave away the penalty again. That's 2 penalties in 2 games, both of which felt like not desperate, but sort of just a little bit like we were diving in and didn't need to. Fair enough. Do you know what I mean? On top of that, Kelleher, if he was a first team goalkeeper anywhere else, if that was Brighton that he was playing for, we would all be going, oh, this kid's got to come. This kid's got to come to us. Manchester United would be looking at him. Everyone would be looking at him. And I know that Liverpool have got some stat on him, which means he's not a first team starter. And that stat is not Alisson. That stat is like, what are we going to do with him in the future? But I just, he was immense last night. His penalty saving ability, as poor as the penalty was from Mbappe, is awesome. I absolutely love it, and he's really a pleasure to watch in the stadium. Gives the fans a lot of confidence. Doesn't quite have the same aura and presence, I think, yet, but he's still very young as a goalkeeper, still developing that aura and presence, so I'm fine with that. Let's just talk about the front line, talk about the goals, because I know you're fiending for that. We were by far the better team. We were by far the better attacking force. I don't want to talk about stats or whatever it is, because those guys tried to take a number of like quite low quality shots last night and begin to like wear us down. I think they thought they were playing Leganes because they were just not up to standard. Mbappe actually had a really mediocre game at best. I think the penalty sort of got away with. We should have given him way more, but his head went as soon as he missed that penalty in the stadium. When Endrick came on, Konate just absolutely bodied him time after time. I didn't think their front line was all that. And actually, Jude probably he did some nice, classy things, but I sort of watched him last night and went, yeah, it's sort of again, I said this at the time, he sort of dodged a bullet there, because would we want Jude, would Jude be doing the stuff that we need Jude to do in our midfield right now, etc., etc. Fair enough, right? But he was all right. I don't think he was great last night. The front line, Mo Salah, he looked like a man possessed to do something against Real Madrid. He couldn't do it. There is something going on there. I think it's a mental thing. I'm reticent to use like phrases such as curse and stuff like that, because that feels a bit weird. But he definitely has something in his mind about playing Madrid, and it doesn't feel good. I think it's something to do with Salt Bay. I'm just saying. Since he's met, he was in the cast, but you get what I mean. Diaz, both Stephen Tries and I last night were sort of wondering why he wasn't running at the back line more. It must have been a tactic. There must have been some sort of overlapping thing, maybe a defensive conservatism. Maybe they wanted Robbo to put in more crosses. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on his performance last night. I thought he improved and grew into the game, but time and time again they stood him up, and I thought, why aren't you going at them? Like, they are clearly not confident. Real Madrid were a team not confident last night. And then Nunez was just herring all over the place. The stadium loves his energy, but I've got to admit, I think if there's another striker in there, I think we maybe score 1 or 2 more last night. And I think actually, he's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, but we should be looking to get value from him in the market in the long term, because maybe Slot can shape him and you can sort of see the Slot fingerprints beginning to appear, but outside of that, it's not that I don't feel confident in him. It's not that I don't like him. It's not that I don't love when he scores a goal. It's that I feel there isn't something else that, if Bobby Firmino was in this team, if Jota was in this team, I think we'd be seeing the ball moved a little bit differently. I think we'd be seeing it get more swiftly through that area and then back in. His movement is fantastic. His encouragement is fantastic. He's a great character. He's more than willing to track back. I don't think any of those things take away from the other aspects that I want him to be doing in his game. Now onto the goals. Up until the point where we scored, and you can see it from McAllister's reaction, I think we were sort of still like, oh, what if they come and Madrid us? So it was quite funny to watch, because you sort of see McAllister go, that went in. Again, Conor Bradley, beautiful little bounce pass with McAllister, lovely round the corner stuff. It worked really nicely. I was very, very impressed with that. But McAllister, I think in the moment, I didn't realise it in the stadium. I was sort of level with it. What a cute, beautiful finish it was. And what a lovely move that is. It was so slot, it was so bounce pass, we'd been working them for a while, and I think more recently what I've realised is I realised this from the very beginning, but you can feel us slowly working our way towards a goal. We sort of go, oh, we're close now, we're gonna and we tweak and we get the goal. Very satisfying, great finish. He deserves so much more credit. He's had a really tough season, I think, in terms of reviews, the public perception of McAllister, so I'm really happy for him. By the way, I've got a Gravenberch scarf last night. He's my favourite player right now. The guy is class. His tackling, his positioning, his perception of the game, all are amazing. Very often I think he doesn't get the credit because the guy is basically doing very like a silent hero, and I just love watching him play. He's so selfless in the way that he plays, and McAllister is the little like bulldog that gets out there and does stuff. But I think we owned Madrid's midfield last night. They didn't really do all that much to us. Kurt again, and I wanted to get onto Curtis Jones. The guy in stadium, every time he gets the ball, you can tell everyone's like, be you, like go and do what we need you to do. Be Curtis Jones. There's times where I think he's almost now a bit too selfless. He used to hold on to it way too long. Now he's getting rid of it almost too early. I think he's got to find that biting point. You see him when he's confident. A couple of carries last night, a couple of little passes, a couple of little combos. In a way, I kind of like that because it shows he's not always trying to be the man. He knows there's a selflessness to what he's got to do now on the slot. But there's a couple of times where I thought, oh, go on, take it and just see what you can do. But again, this Liverpool midfield silenced a world-class midfield. And I don't think you can really say that they didn't have world-class operators in there. Modric, great, really good energy. You can see he's picking off the space all the time. It's really interesting to watch. And Jude, again, he's classy. We played them just right. We sort of played them on the end of the jab and just kept them at arm's length the whole time. Really, really like an accomplished performance, I think that shows, from multiple Liverpool midfielders last night. Anyway, on top of that, I sound like David Icke. We got the totality. Anyway, then the Salah penalty miss. I feel bad for him about that. In the stadium, it was clearly a penalty. It was more clear than the Robbo penalty, which was a penalty, by the way. That's what he was playing for. He was sort of, I know he was playing to get to goal, but you could see in the end, he was like, I'm going to twist this guy up. I don't want to mention contract negotiations, but for the very reason of him doing that to people and him being that kind of threat, being that kind of menace out on the field, I just love to watch it. And I was right there. I saw it and I was like, penalty. I went crazy for it. The whole stadium knew it straight away. Everyone went, penalty, we know it. Mendy, unfortunate. They had an inexperienced back line last night, but it's Real Madrid, mate. We were playing Canate. We brought Joe Gomez on late when Bradley was injured. Have a go at us, and you didn't. Madrid bottled it last night. Anyway, Salah misses. Curse, nope. Cody Gakpo comes on. When Cody plays now, I instantly think there's going to be another goal in this game. Either as a sub or as a starter. I just know that he's going to put himself in an amazing position to score. And it's going to be through his own sheer power of will. Does that make sense? Anyway. The header, again, I thought it was Virgil van Dijk when he got up, in the way that he got up. I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying. I was like, that is Van Dijk-esque the way he's got there. But he's got like a striker's body. He's got like a striker's way of hitting it. He hit that. Courtois last night was a wall, by the way, at times during that game. And I remember the fans were getting a bit frustrated because we were like, God, you're always in the way, mate. Like, stop being in the way. And to do that against Courtois, I think is really special. powered it beyond him when Courtois had been in the way of everything. And you can just see, like, Liverpool then go, ooh, right, all right, boys, we've got this. 2-0 is a good distance. Because the penalty hadn't gone in, there was a bit of apprehension. There was a bit like, what are they going to do? What are they going to come back and do here? What are they going to do to us? And it worked. It felt so good. And in that moment, the stadium all breathed out. We went, you ain't scoring again now. You're not doing 2 in however long you've got left. There was about 20 minutes left. You're not doing it. And we knew to be that confident and to beat Madrid like that feels so good. To put those to bed, to tuck in Mbappe and go, good night, sleep well, goodbye, satisfying. Because they were not up to it. Anfield grew into the night. It wasn't there from the beginning for me. Outside, you could tell everyone was a bit apprehensive. Madrid fans were sort of waltzing around, sort of doing a bit of chanting. They're not us, are they? They're a very different kind of people. One guy came over and went, this is the biggest thing on TV tonight. And weirdly, he went, it's biggest in the world. And I was like, yeah, it is, you're right. But I already said that. But when it came out of my mouth, it felt different to when he said it. I don't know why. By the way, the Madrid fans in the away end, dressed in what looked like white robes, it looks weird, mate. It looks weird. It looks unusual from the distance. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Anfield grew into it last night, and by the time we were finished, we were rocking. I think Sunday is what we're really saving ourselves for. A lot of people talking about City last night. A lot of people, we need to think about that. I'm more nervous of this. Would you sacrifice the Real Madrid game for the City game? Blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'll be having that conversation on Sunday. I think a lot of people are nervous for City. We feel like we're arriving. And the City game, if we beat them, weirdly, again, because it's just a badge, it's just a name, because that team has been a shell of themselves in recent weeks. I think we're worried that they're going to come and try and do something against us, reignite their season against us. But as you'll see in my preview tomorrow, I think if they come and try and do something, if they try and come and do a defensive thing, then sure, well done. But if they try and do something against us, reignite their season, that plays into our hands, lads. And Real Madrid played into our hands. Arne Slot, I've been resistant to use this name, this title yet. It felt like a genius managerial performance last night. And it was very satisfying to watch. It wasn't the emphatic nature of what Klopp did. It wasn't the Brendan Rodgers verve. It wasn't the Rafa Benitez glasses in the pocket. It was not Arne Slot idiosyncratic performance. But I've not quite worked out Slot yet. He's a little bit unknowable. And I like that is his quality and now also ours. Enjoy your day, guys. I'm going to be doing a podcast with Mark Goldbridge. See you there.